Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, Ko-Fi, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M Iron26, Eric Troche, Endless, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Canna Bear, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
I literally have it in front of me, dude, because 2 weeks when I was going to Vermont, I got a speeding ticket. So now you bring in a traffic ticket, and it's literally in front of me, dude. I got to fill it out, guilty, and mail it in.
There you go. Even though you may not think it's fair. See, maybe I said that for a
That's
reason.
fair. I
Sometimes.
was speeding, dude. I got 97 and 65, so.
Well, there you go.
I'm a little upset, but I'm guilty. What can I say,
There you go. That's how it is, eh?
It was a nice change of conversation anyway. Nathan Oakley, good morning, sir. And Nathan's
Good morning,
panel.
Nathan.
Morning. Mate, like I'm not here, I'm just going to go and get coffee.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We got other folks in here too.
Mr. Danny Faulkner's with us. Good morning, sir. Humble. Good morning, Humble. Price of Adam. What's up, buddy? And Steve A. Morning, Stevie.
Hey, good morning.
So are we staying in this server today, or what's going on, guys?
Well, wait until Nathan gets back and they'll let us know.
All right. Like I said, 24/7's popping. Indio's there. Oh, Creation Bear's not there anymore.
Mention it to Nathan when he gets back.
Yep.
I see Danny's here. I wouldn't mind talking to him, just regularly.
Yeah, I spoke with Danny in a voice check a few weeks ago.
Oh, you voice verified him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's Danny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's Bacon tagging me for? Bacon, please stop tagging me, dude. I don't tag you, don't tag me, dude. I'm not talking to you, man. Flat Earther who found the contradiction within the process of negation my belief that they're... This dude is such a liar, man. Why do they do this, man? He keeps exposing himself every day.
I watched that sound clip you clipped up, and is that the one where we got the soundbite from? Is that the same one?
Yes.
Yeah, but I heard the beginning. Nathan said, "Say this," and he just repeated it. And anybody can just repeat anything.
Dude, he said it many times before that.
He said it
He
many
said
times.
it when me and
Okay.
George were here in the room.
All right.
He's just a liar, man. Jesse too. Jesse also denied it. But remember Jesse asking for FE roll?
Okay.
You don't remember that? You don't remember that?
Wait, actually, I do. I might remember.
Okay. And when I reminded him that, he literally denied it. He's like, that never happened. He's like, show me an audio clip. These people are liars, man.
But when
now,
I
whether they're
investigated
trolling
it,
or serious, I don't even care. They are liars.
When I investigated that closer, it may have seemed like he was pressured for that. So.
Well, how come nobody can pressure me to say Earth is a globe and it's spinning? I want somebody to make me repeat that. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Almighty.
Who's that? Good morning. Who was that, huh?
That was me.
What's up, Humble?
Listen, do you mind throwing that question out this morning about if the angle change doesn't, if the angle chain isn't affected by altitude,
Man,
why do we need a height of eye correction?
I don't know, man. Like, the height of
No?
eye, isn't it just to establish the horizontal? When you're in the boat, you don't do that on an airplane. You have a bubble sextant on an airplane.
So in your way of thinking, question is not legit?
What question? That the angle doesn't change with elevation?
Yeah, if
Is that a
the angle,
question?
yes, yeah. I think that was the statement Whitsitt was having a debate with Nathan about. And I was just curious.
It's just the
if
fact that Witsa
statement-
didn't know that. It's right?
No,
Because
I'm
the angle
saying,
does not change with elevation.
okay, then maybe you can tell me then if it
You
doesn't
already
change
asked that. You already asked that, bro.
Flat's
Oh.
flat anywhere.
What was
so
that price about him?
I said flat's flat anywhere. Up, down, out. Just flat.
Yeah, what's
No, but I'm talking okay, thanks. Okay.
Well, you can listen to the show. Why is there an echo?
What was all that about?
Well,
Probably
he's wondering
somebody
if
got white knight for it's it, and I'm getting feedback.
It's because you're
Well,
in
no,
here
this is a
twice, Neil,
question.
for some reason. You're in here twice.
Okay.
It's all right. The solution is just to stay on mute, Neil.
What was all that about anyway? I only just sat down.
Well, let me just rephrase what was said, or what the question was, right? If height does not affect the angle, the elevation angle, right?
Whoa. Why is that being put in an if statement? There's no if about it.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So let's just say that. Let's just say not if. Let's just say height does not affect the elevation angle. Then the question is, why do we calculate for drop if it doesn't affect it?
What drop?
Like the height of eye drop to bring it down
The height of eye
to
correction.
the water.
Zip angle.
That's nothing to do with it.
Well, to get the height of eye? If you're using the horizon only, that's when you do height of eye correction. So you're correcting for the fact that you're above the deck that you're measuring to establish a horizontal plane of reference. So there is a slight correction, which is based on your height of eye, so that you can correct it to the plane of reference that you're actually using when you establish that plane with the horizon. That's it.
So
Right,
you're
but
saying if it's Sorry.
Neil, you haven't started this conversation, have you?
I'm asking a freaking question.
Someone else is in the middle of asking a question, though, Neil, aren't they?
Did you not answer it? As soon as I heard somebody, I stopped. What's the problem, man?
all right, maybe I'm not getting it. Let me. Okay, so we.
Right. Just sorry. Hi guys. I've just only just jumped in myself. I think what's on the cards is when you're on the deck of a ship, you're above the horizontal sea level, and then you have to do a dip correction to bring your eye down to that. Then there's a correction then, which the correction does alter the elevation angle because it's a reduction of minutes and seconds. But then someone asked, what's the problem with why doesn't it alter when you're up in the air? That's what the question was.
Wait
Because-
a second.
Okay, it would if you're using the horizon up in the air. But if you're using a bubble sextant to establish horizontal, which you can also use on a ship, then you don't have to do dip correction.
I think what somebody was saying was that the height of eye correction doesn't alter the elevation angle, but when you do the reduction, it does.
Yeah, it's a correction. It's making it more accurate, because if you don't include that, you're not establishing a perfectly flat baseline for the angle in the first instance. If you've got a established horizontal baseline with a bubble sextant, then you don't need to make any correction because you've already got a perfectly flat baseline. But you haven't if you're using a horizon, which represents the deck, the flat base that you need to use, and it's disappearing into the distance point as a reference for you and your tool, in this case a Mariner sextant. Well, in that case, you're above the deck by however many feet. So that's a minor correction that you will have to make if you're using that tool and that object, that phenomena in the distance where the land merges with, or appears to merge with, the sky. That is a minor correction. You don't have to do that correction if you don't use that particular tool. Depends on your circumstances and what you use to establish horizontal with. In this case, you'd be using the horizon, otherwise you wouldn't be doing this correction, but fine. It's as good a tool as any if you know how to utilize it. Or, in this case, adjust for the fact that you're slightly above it.
Yeah.
Yeah, humble.
And what was it, Mighty? Are you here?
Yeah.
You want to ask Nathan that question again that you asked when he was away?
Didn't sound like Mighty Mush was asking anything.
No, he was asking something while you were away. He was asking about the. Go on, Mighty. Ask what you were going
What
to
did
ask.
I can't remember. To remind me. Oh, the 24/7. No, I
Yeah.
was just wanted to know what are we doing today.
You
I
want to go
said 24/7 stop, and there's like 22 people there, and
Oh yeah, let's go there then.
but
You want to go to 24/7?
All right.
yeah,
Yeah,
all
you're
right.
gonna handle it, Mighty, right? Hold on a second. Hold on a
Time
second.
out.
You're gonna
Time
handle
out.
all that
Time
for us,
out.
right, Mighty?
Time out.
Oh
Time
wait,
out.
we got Elijah, representative of 247. Come on.
Time out.
No,
What does the Grand Poobah of 247
Well,
say?
we're going in now anyway. I'll see you in there.
yeah, I was gonna say
I
we
mean,
need like the moderators to like be present to allow this to happen.
Nathan, when you're hot micing, we hear Elijah.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, we're good. All right, because I know damn well I was talking. Never mind. I'll have a conversation with you guys later.
You're being told to shut up, Eli.
What they say about us now, Elijah?
No, I was like, yo, I was like, I was just bringing
And
it
now
up
we've been
because
server muted in the server.
Anyway.
So thanks, guys.
We had a
Immediately
fresh
we've been
vote.
server
So,
muted. So now they're just going to rumpus
so,
us and talk
Josh,
through the middle of our conversation to Neil and Eli. I
so
was trying to be subtle with you.
basically,
Didn't
you
work.
think the Earth's the globe because you don't think there's a group of people that would lie about it. Not really the physical evidence. It's just like what you think human beings would or wouldn't do.
I guess I've never thought to really question whether it's flat or a globe because I really don't even think the answer might make that big of a difference.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. It isn't gonna you still have to brush your teeth, right? It isn't gonna change that. There's a lot of things that'll never change. I guess the only difference would be the implications existentially, like for your life, why you're here, why you exist, all those things, because it automatically falsifies Big Bang, evolution, all that nonsense. So that's one aspect. The other aspect would be I guess it would be more of a commentary on how like you were saying, like how human beings are. So if you think of any any scientific idea, well, the globe is claimed to be scientific, it isn't really, but any scientific idea, there's no scientific ideas that have lasted as long as the globe claim, right? All the scientific ideas from like the 1500s, the thousands, like you pick whatever century you want, all those ideas have been overturned. The globe is the only one that's survived.
What's a
So I'll give
scientific
you an
idea?
example.
Neil,
People
you
used to
can't
think
interject
that
in this
fire
conversation. I tried to get you to shut up.
was
You
caused by
wouldn't. Now we're
something called
server muted, so
phlogiston,
we can't take part in
and
the
that
conversation.
everything that could burn had this element in it. And it took, until like the 1800s until that idea was overturned. The point being is that, after all this time of saying years ago, would they admit that they were wrong?
I'm gonna unmute you guys in
You
a
got to think
second,
of the
but
implications of
just
that,
make sure you
right?
got
The whole
control of your
university
mic.
system, the school system, the government, the state, all the powers that be. You're like, well, we're not gonna trust you guys anymore because you were wrong.
Mm. Well, I mean, like, I just don't think that, if they were trying to
Well, to me,
mislead
NASA's like
you
a
in
make
like
work program, right? So, like, I'll give you an example of make work. So the United States is sending money to Ukraine. Ukraine is taking that money and buying weapons from the U.S. And then you even had politicians say, "Hey,
Just straight away. I can't get involved in this conversation, so I've had to server mute myself now in there. Eli.
Yeah, I was saying, that's what I was gonna say. I was just brought it up cavalierly yesterday, and there are a couple of mods that don't understand or uh, like don't know what's going on when the whole panel comes in. It's like, oh, audio chaos, but really it's just like Crit and the Alpha Veritas that I got to talk to, Miggy, and we were talking about the show being in there, and I was just saying, I don't see a problem with the show happening because we do shows through Rumble when Creation Bear wants to do that, and whenever someone wants to have a conversation and share like their latest cutting edge argument, we let them do it. So what would be the difference between that and a group of people on a panel doing that?
I don't think that's the problem. I think we just joined mid-conversation, and you were told to pipe down, and you and Neil didn't, so we got server muted. But you've unmuted us in the server now. The problem is now different, and that's that Indy's now discussing stuff that isn't YouTube friendly. So I've now had to server mute myself in this discussion. I'll reopen the line. Just don't talk, because otherwise, if they're in the middle of that discussion, I'm just going to have to cut the line and we'll have to continue this conversation. So just give me 10 seconds to work things out, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I guess I just feel like, if the government wanted to enforce some kind of like indoctrination, they could do it differently than a globe Earth. Like, I feel like that doesn't really hold too much weight. And even then, even with pushing a globe Earth, even if you still believe it's a globe, people still have a lot of distrust and questions toward the government anyway. And I just feel like whether it's a flat or a globe Earth really doesn't make a difference in trusting the government.
it does. It does in a way, man. You're kind of like, okay, so you got to think of, you have to like go back in history. Right? You got Copernicus and Galileo, right? And then the Western fairy tale of how that worked out was everybody was a bunch of religious nuts. They all thought the Earth was flat, and Copernicus and Galileo came along and proved that the Earth revolved around the sun, that the Earth was round, and then the Age of Enlightenment came, and we all rejected religion and yada yada yada, and now you got the 21st century. So that's the narrative of how Western civilization panned out. So what's the main thing in that is that before, the highest authority was God, but without God, who is now your highest authority? Who's the highest authority on earth if God does not exist? Is it government? Maybe.
I would probably say intelligence agencies.
Well, yeah, but they're part of the government, right?
Somewhat. I mean, there's extrajudicial stuff that happens, but I mean, yeah.
Well, but I mean, like the highest authority. So when people are brought up, they're brought up to think that the government, the state, is the ultimate authority. The state writes shit down on pieces of paper, and everybody has to obey it, right? Or men with guns are going to come and beat you up. That's the way it works right now. How do you get so nobody question? You know, if you want men to be the highest authority, then you just get rid of God. Then the highest authority has to be a man, right? Because you've gotten rid of any supernatural possibility. And the globe Earth does that because we have a completely that has a completely naturalistic, materialistic view of reality. Right? There's a big bang, bunch of random shit happened. You know, there was some goo. Now there's people walking around with Nikes, right? And there is no God because that's just random crap. But how do we organize these people walking around with Nikes? Well, we need people that are supposedly competent to tell them what to do because they can't decide for themselves what to do, right? So now your highest authority is just some person that says I'm in charge, and if you don't believe me, we're going to shoot you. Where's that the flip side? Like I said, man, is where the highest authority is God. It doesn't matter if whatever some man says goes against the morals of religion, then they'll just be rejected, right? You don't have that possibility if there is no God.
Well, sure, but did you get God from man or from yourself?
Personally, neither. I got God from God.
Sure, but I mean, your introduction to God, was that just self-reflection or was that from reading a man-made book?
I think everybody that's born, when you're a young child, you realize God exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely self-reflection for me on that one. But I was wondering, Josh, just because you were saying like kind of why, but would you want to know if you were being lied to?
Um, yeah, but I just don't think I am.
Yeah, and that's fine because I mean it's the equivalent of being like, "Hey, man, your best friend comes up to tell you like, hey, I don't think your girlfriend's being too honest. Saw her with another guy," and you're like, "No, no, no, she loves me. I mean, she has no reason to lie to me, right?" But then say that friend comes up and he's like, here's the evidence, right? A couple times actually, I mean, what are you going to do? Do you accept maybe that? Because we can show you where they did lie. And that's really what's important here, not how much money they had to do this lie or, kind of all the tangents here. But we can show you evidence that there isn't this claimed curve radius, right, for the globe 3959. We could show you that it's not spinning in reality. And we can basically tell you about gas pressure, right? And how this can't be a ball out in the middle of the vacuum of this claimed outer space, right? We can show you this evidence, um, if you're definitely willing to take a look.
I mean, sure, I'm not against any, you know, differing views. I just feel like how you reach those conclusions might.
It's one of
I
those
just want
things
to
you
caveat
have to do
what
yourself.
I said. Hold on a second. What I said is speculation, right? why would they lie and all that stuff? That's speculation. What I gave you is my personal opinion and interpretation of why they would lie and all that stuff. But I don't represent anybody in the server. I only represent myself, right? The determination of this, of the Earth being flat or not, has nothing to do with religion, whether fucking NASA lies, whether the government lies, whether anyone lies. It's about observation and testing of the Earth itself, and it's demonstrably flat.
Sorry to interrupt, Indy. I know
Yeah,
it's your.
go ahead.
I know I'm not home. This isn't my home, but please may I ask? Don't swear. Is that good by you?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Just for YouTube friendliness. That's all. The other thing.
Yeah.
Flat Lloyd Wright.
I swear like a trucker as it is.
That's okay. If I don't say something at some point, no one will adhere to it. But I'm obviously producing a show, so I'd just ideally not have anyone swear. Flat Lloyd Wright, you there? Your approach is going to get critique from me. I just want to prepare you for that in advance before you've even done it.
Absolutely.
Well, you've approached this guy from the position of whether or not with examples of his girlfriend lying, but in your example you said, well, here's the evidence, presumably a photograph of them snogging in your example. But then you went to how they've lied about the globe and how you can show those globe lies. Well, we personally, that's me and my team, if you want to call it that, go for a different approach. It's new, so it's only in 2024 that we've been doing this, but go for the approach of just prove to him how it's measured flat off the bat. No ambiguity about what's been lied about the globe. And if the globe comes up in conversation, and as it already has, utilize that globe claim in terms of how that claim comes from a flat Earth measurement also. So as Copernicus gets mentioned, Copernicus is dealing with measurements of angles to stars documented in the ephemeris and measured off the equatorial plane with a system of latitude that gives you a flat circle system on a flat Earth for the angles to Polaris. Now that system then incorporates the radial value by way of the equatorial minimum of Polaris. That's a flat Earth measurement of Polaris, to say that that's the outside edge of a sphere in a mathematical convention to describe better how the stars measured over a flat plane may come to pass in future. That is to say, better predictive capabilities of the cycles that have been measured off a flat plane. So all of the values used in those globe reifications came from flat Earth measurements in the first instance, specifically the radial value, or equatorial minimum. That's measurement of Polaris on a flat baseline, because that's the only way you can get an angle to its GP.
Sure.
So the gentleman who you're appealing to, well, I don't know if it's a globe or not, and I would consider whether or not I've been lied to. It is flat. That's how Earth's measured and dealt with in all respects. That's why all the maps are flat, and all of the systems used on those maps, that would be latitude and longitude, have been measured in the first instance, with the lights in the sky and the angles to them off a flat plane. That's how the Earth is dealt with, has been mapped, and all the territories that we deal with are in fruition. They have only come to pass because we've measured Earth flat and the angles to the stars with respect to that flat plane that we actually walk around on. So once you can show anybody that Earth's just measured flat, including but not limited to, for the use of a globe belief that has come from a model of a flat plane measurement with an R value putting us sun-centric in the case of Copernicus. But a sun-centric idea taken from flat Earth measurements will always start with flat Earth measurements, regardless of how the maths then tries to attempt to dovetail in a reification of us standing on a globe, which could never be the case, because all of the measurements to make that inference that we're standing on a globe came from flat Earth measurements also, specifically flat plane measurements of the stars and the angles to them off the equatorial plane. So Earth's measured flat, that's how it's dealt with. The religious belief of a globe, you're entitled to. Believe whatever you like. But if you can show the person who believes he's on a sphere that his sphere belief came from flat Earth measurements, you're pushed to then say, well, Earth's a globe. Well, no, it's measured flat to suggest that it's a globe.
Right. No, thank you for that critique. Yeah, I was beating around the bush just because I checked him in and I noticed he was quite new to the topic. But yeah, right to the point. It's measured flat.
Yep.
How
I'm
does that
honored,
sound to you
honestly. Thank
guys?
you.
Neil wants to put his he got me server muted earlier, so I think he now wants to put his interjections in.
Whoa! How did I get you server muted?
Because you didn't shut up when there was an obvious conversation going on, despite the panel and me asking you to. So then they eventually had to do something about it. I don't blame them.
hear you ask me to. I just asked, what's his scientific, whatever. I forgot what I asked. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay, I didn't want to critique Indigo, but now you've put it in there, people wonder what you're talking about. Indy talked about science, and it was a category error. It doesn't matter. It wasn't the point he was making. He's trying to point out that who's in control if you've relinquished God? Well, the people in control are in control. It's really obvious, right? Indy, that was your point. Whereas in there, you were like, well, the science of the globe, and you were the one who mentioned Copernicus. Well, it's like, nah, they haven't actually created a globe. They've taken flat Earth measurements and tried to better explain the patterns for the church. You know, that's how ellipses came to pass. You know, because the church went, well, when's Easter? We keep getting it wrong. And they go, oh, well, we'll have to figure out a better way of tracking them, mapping these stars and where they're going to be in relation to the moon. And how are we going to do that? Well, if we put the motion that we've got mathematically from the angles we measured off a flat Earth in this idea that we have of a sun-centric system, we can better predict when Easter will be. If we put those motions that we've got mathematically in ellipses. Right? Well, you're still starting with the same basic premise to get to that stage, which is a flat Earth measurement of the angles to the stars. Tracking them over a flat plane gives us our mapping and grid system. And that's how it still works. That's why all the maps are flat, because Earth's flat. That's how it's dealt with. There are no elevation changes.
Yeah, the quarter decimal controversy lasted entirely too long.
Say again?
You were talking about the church trying to figure out when Easter was. Yeah, the quarter decimal controversy lasted entirely too long.
Yeah, I've got Dr. John Dee to thank for that. He sent me a book on it called The Sun in the Church, which basically takes you through the story of how that came to fruition.
What's the title of that book?
The Sun in the Church. It just turned up one day.
Play our words.
No, that's what it's about. That's specifically what it's about. It's about heliocentrism, which is a sun-centric system that the church have essentially commissioned from the off so that they can better predict when certain celestial events take place that aren't based on our calendars, but based on the positions of the luminaries. Well, if you don't know when a certain luminary is going to line up with a certain moon that's just passed, there's a good chance that you'll tell the public, well, this is when Easter's going to be, and then you get it wrong. So from those sorts of problems, you end up expanding out through some of the best mathematicians at the behest of the church, how they can better serve these understandings. Well, everything to do with orbits and heliocentrism has come as a consequence of wanting to better predict those motions of those stars at the behest of the church. Heliocentrism is a church-based religion. It doesn't matter which way you dice it up. That's where it's come from, using flat Earth measurements.
Yeah, like Jedi mentioned, the Romanist Christian institution specifically is what Nathan is referring to, rather than the Church of the Lord.
I'm glad you corrected me. It's normally my panel that does it. It's the Roman Catholic Church, specifically. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, whatever, Neil. I don't always remember. I'm, flawed. Sorry. To all you Christians listening, if you take offence to that, I'm sorry also. The facts are facts. It's still the church. What do you want? I could just get pedantic the other way and go, no, still just the church.
Yeah, Adam does say that. He says I'm wrong by saying that.
Yeah, well, there you go. I could too. I just don't, out of respect for Christians. And I identified the specific church, and someone else did it for me, which is embarrassing. But thank you, whoever that was. I don't know who it was that said that, but thank you.
I'm Gregory.
Well, Catholicism means universal, right?
Well,
Well,
it is a
Catholic,
specific time
but you know.
period.
Go ahead, Gregory, as
Yeah.
you should get a bit more glory than Neil. Go on, Greg.
Was that Eli? I thought I heard Eli's voice.
Yeah, but I'm in here instead of there. Hey, bro.
Oh my God.
It's Twilight Zone.
Nathan has two voices.
I'm running a show from my. You are connected to
Right.
my show via me in Discord, but yeah, it'll seem a bit weird. You'll get used to it.
Maybe we should interrogate Josh's some more. See where his head's at.
Oh, shit, yeah, I should have really said something because he was the one getting grilled in the example where I'm laying it out for you guys. Because no offense to the Globy, you're inconsequential to me. I'm really sorry. I'll forget your name by the time this show finishes. But the guys who are essentially on my side, for want of better phraseology, they're the ones I'm actually concerned with knowing this, because they can make a difference. Whether or not you care at the end of this is not really that important to me. I'm really sorry. But yes, Joshua, of course. Yeah, how do you feel now that you found out Earth's measured flat?
Still feel the same. Because I just feel like if you want to prove a flat Earth, you kind of have to create a new form of science.
That's a category error. Science
And
That's not
science
necessarily
is
implied.
that's measurements. Sorry, why are you telling me about
Well, I feel
science,
like you're
Joshua?
using, like-
Joshua, please don't expose yourself as a buffoon. There's no need for that. You were doing so well.
Well, no, I
No,
just feel like
science
you're
deals
using,
with
like-
cause and effect. The nature and size and shape and measurements of Earth, that's maths. Science deals with cause and effect. Don't need to tell me you need to invent a new science when it's just measured flat. That's how it's measured.
Well, sure, but like you say measured, but it's like, how are you getting that if you didn't create your new form of math or physics?
There's no new form of
You don't
math.
need
Like
to
you're using-
recreate
No, it's
the
old.
entirety
It's,
of math.
sorry,
Math
he
and
doesn't
physics
understand the
that you were
systems.
taught
That's
to use.
fine. I'll explain it to him. So you know what latitude is?
Yeah.
Right, that's a flat Earth elevation angle measurement along a flat baseline between any position from the equator to a 90-degree position below Polaris. That means that there is a flat line from the equator all the way to the GP position, that's ground position, 90 degrees below Polaris. That can only exist, that grid system that is used for every bit of navigation ever, if Earth is capable of being measured and is measured flat. That's a ground-based, flat system of concentric circles based on angle measurements off a flat Earth to Polaris. There's no new invention of science, category error, it's maths. When we're talking about angle measurements to Polaris, they've been doing it that way for thousands of years, measuring angles to Polaris off a flat plane. Just so we're clear, you can't get angles off a curvy surface that's reified from those measurements of a flat plane, because the radial value of a sphere Earth in your reification and estimation and belief comes from the same measurements. That's a minimum flat Earth angle to Polaris, flat from your position where you measure its minimum at the horizon. So that's only capable of being in existence if Earth is measured flat. The entire system is a flat-based system. Same with longitude. Elevation angle measurements to the sun for a time-based system that also exists on all the flat maps. That's why they're flat, because that's a flat system of angle measurements to the sun and Polaris for our flat maps. Nothing's being reinvented, and your globe comes from those flat Earth measurements, specifically radius. So nothing's being reinvented. Whoever's off mute. Greg, can you go on mute? No,
Well,
what
I
do
guess
you mean
like what I'm
reinvent
saying
some
is
new
like
science?
you're like proving flat Earth using educational systems that you were taught previously with a globe Earth.
With a globe Earth? No, the latitude system is not a globe Earth system. I just explained that to you. What part of that didn't you understand?
I'm saying that you're using a system and you're using scientific methods
No, category error. You
that
didn't
are
listen.
associated with
Stop
globe
saying
Earth.
science. Stop. Right, you're embarrassing yourself. I'll slow
I'm
down.
really
I said
not,
it twice and it's irritating me. Science deals with cause and effect. Do you want to tell me what the natural phenomena in a measurement of an angle to Polaris is off a flat plane that can only be measured on a flat plane? It's an angle. That's not a cause and effect relationship. This has nothing to do with science. You don't know what science is. Can you stop using a word that you don't understand? Because it's irritating.
What are you saying right now?
That you don't know what science is. And you keep using the word in spite of me telling you 3 times now that you're in a category error when you tell me we need new science for measuring angles. That's maths. Measuring science is... Can you go on mute? Well, I educate you. Is that possible? Joshua? You told me you don't understand yet. You're making a load of air noises. You breathe down your mic while you talk about science, something you don't understand. Yeah, you don't understand what science is. It's a cause and effect. Suppositional reasoning for phenomena observed in nature. That's science. This is maths, measuring angles, stars on flat planes to give us the grids that you say we've got to invent a new science for. No, we haven't. That's a category error. And we haven't got to invent new maths either. The whole system that even the globe uses is based on flat Earth measurements. Something you seem to be struggling to comprehend.
Just saying it.
No, it's a fact. That's what latitude is. It's a angle-based measurement system of Polaris. It's a Polaris-centric circular system that measures out angles that recede as you back away from Polaris. With it at your zenith, you've then got a Polaris-centric system. North Pole-centric, like the North Pole. Yeah, that's part of our mapping system. Yeah? Polaris is crucial to that, and the angles to it give us latitude. That's angles off a flat plane. You don't get angles from curves. As you back away along a flat baseline, the angle on a flat baseline, that's a flat Earth, recedes as you back away from it. So the angle gets smaller. Yeah, that's the latitude grid. You can only describe it, map it, and use it if Earth's flat. That's why the maps are flat. And you keep telling me we somehow need a new science to do this flat. It's only capable of being done flat. They're angles.
So
hey, so like I said at the
Nathan,
beginning,
are you saying that? Are you kind of adhering to the AE map basically with what you're saying, the polar projection?
When did I mention the azimuthal equidistant projection?
No, but your equidistant is the elevation angle to Polaris, right? And these concentric circles you just described. I'm just kind of pointing.
No.
That's exactly what you just said.
No, a Polaris-centric azimuthal. Yeah, maybe I won't correct you. You obviously know better. You tell me.
Sorry.
No, a Polaris-centric
essentially what
azimuthal
I'm saying
equidistant.
is
Joshua,
that
nobody's talking to you. Joshua, as I said earlier, I didn't even appeal to you. I only talked to you out of politeness. What you now concern yourself with now you found out Earth's measured flat, it doesn't concern me.
It's definitely a group discussion, though.
Nobody cares.
So,
Globe believer, nobody cares. Yeah, this might be a real revelation to you. Nobody cares. Yeah, go and digest this massive revelation that Earth's measured flat. And to get a globe belief out of it, you need to measure it flat first. You can deal with that revelation elsewhere. I'm talking to someone else now. Turquoise Dragon.
Nathan, I asked you, dude. Just me and you.
Yeah, I was. I'm just getting back on that. I'm getting back on that track, Turquoise. Don't you worry. I've done this before. This isn't my first rodeo. No worries. Yeah. So azimuthal equidistant projections. Yeah, azimuthal equidistant projections. Yeah, no, they're only North Pole centric if you specify that they are North Pole centric azimuthal equidistant projections. The most common azimuthal equidistant projection happens to be North Pole centric, but an azimuthal equidistant projection can be centered anywhere. If you look on Air Force One when JFK was on it, he had an entire Texas-centric azimuthal equidistant projection on the back of his wall in the control room for him and his desk when they're flying on Air Force One. Well, is that North Pole centric? Does that have north? No, it doesn't. You can project them from anywhere. Hope that answers your question, Turquoise Dragon.
No, it's kind of on these longitude and latitude lines how you derive them from the angles to Polaris and how that, like even in the south, they'd be angling and diminishing in the opposite way to what they would in the north. Like the equator is like the equal line where everything reverses. I'm trying to understand that on a map because I like maps quite a bit, man. I'm trying to picture this on a flat Earth.
I mean,
Because
picture it
in
on
the
a flat
south,
Earth. Which map have you looked at it that it's not
the
flat? Which map have you looked at it that it's not flat on? Because they're all flat. All maps are flat.
No, all the maps are projections onto a flat. Yeah, I get that, right? But there's the problems in the south that adhere to all maps, it seems. And these
So
angles to these southern stars are
say-
exactly the same to the northern hemisphere.
you dropped something in there. All maps are projections. Did you say what off a sphere?
Yeah, all of a celestial sphere where we get
All right,
where we derive
and
the
how did we
longitude and
get that?
latitude lines from.
And how did we get the sphere
Yeah,
to
celestial
project?
sphere.
Hey, I'm talking. And how do we get the
Right.
projection of the sphere to then project onto a tube to roll out flat in the case of things like the transverse Mercator projection?
Okay.
I'm still
Right.
talking. I'm still talking. That's
All right.
rhetorical.
All right.
Yeah. Where do we get it from? Well, we get it from measuring angles off a flat plane to Polaris to have the latitude grid that's stretched over a sphere. So then we can apply the Haversine formula. But the Haversine formula comes after measuring that Polaris-centric system for latitude. That's measured first on a flat plane and then put onto a sphere and then put onto a tube and then rolled back out flat so that you can still use it with angle measurements off a flat baseline. So you seem to infer somehow that the buck stops at the sphere bit. No, the sphere bit came from a flat bit, which was measured off a flat plane. There's no globe measuring at any stage. It's just a, I don't know, inconsequential step to get to a transverse Mercator projection. But it's an in-between step. The starting point, though, would be angle measurements to Polaris for the latitude grid that gets stretched around a sphere. Because that step, not that it's needed in any way, it distorts everything, nevertheless, is one of the steps to get to these, in this instance, transverse Mercator or North Pole centric azimuthal equitism projection, if you're going to lay the latitude lines on it. But in either event, you start with angle measurements to get those lines that we call latitude lines. Before they're stretched round a sphere, they're measured on a flat Earth. So for you having trouble picturing how it would work on a flat Earth, well, it definitely doesn't work on a globe. When it's functionally operating with a globe even close to it, you're using the equatorial plane inside a globe with the celestial sphere wrapped around that. But that's still taking place inside a sphere on a flat plane, and obviously nobody's measuring angles inside a globe Earth. But we definitely measure the angles off a flat plane. That's the only way it can work. That's why the map has to end up flat, and it starts with flat measurements to the angles of the stars. I don't know why you think this projection of a globe bit is somehow relevant, because it only helps to distort things. I would say that it mucks things up quite considerably, considering that we do just take angles to stars, and we can just use a circle system rather than a square one, but we do use a square one, and we do project onto a globe and out onto a tube, but it doesn't really help things beyond the distortions that it creates. But there we go.
Okay, so back to the point about the south and the fact that the elevation or the angles say would seem to, just like you posed the idea in the north, right? The further away you get from the Polaris, the angle diminishes, right?
Yeah.
That happens in the south as well, right?
No, you can't see Polaris in the south. They've had to extrapolate out these systems and extend out the latitudes.
Southern stars have the same effect below the equator, as in the further away you get from a south pole or closer to the equator you get from not the equator in the south. They did the same thing. They diminish. Do they get closer to the horizon? That's a celestial sphere, man, and it doesn't work on a flat Earth.
It is on a flat
that
Earth.
Was actually.
It is on a flat Earth. What are you talking about? The celestial sphere is wrapped around the equatorial plane.
Yeah, that was kind of non sequitur because elevation angles to Polaris and elevation angles to just stars in general, for example, like the South, is completely different. One is just navigation versus one being how you use the system to build for navigation.
I've got it on screen for my audience anyway. So here's a picture of the latitude and longitude grid, and you've got the star being measured with an angle on the plane of the ecliptic, by the looks of things, as opposed to the equatorial plane, but in either event, measured off a plane with the observer standing inside a globe at its center, at the core. Now, no one's measuring angles from the center of a sphere Earth, but we definitely measure angles off the plane when we measure angles to stars for latitude as depicted in this diagram. So there's no measuring of an angle off the top of a globe. You can't do that. Hence, they're all depicted this way. The globe becomes nothing more than a glorified protractor because you're not standing inside a globe in hell measuring angles. You're standing on the ground measuring angles to stars, and that's the flat plane depicted in this diagram because that's how it works. The globe requires a flat plane for you to believe you're standing on it. You're not. That's not how this works. It works off flat plane measurements to angles of stars in the sky off a flat plane on a flat Earth.
I've got another 1 second, Nathan. I've got basically it might make you get the idea what I'm posing here. That it would, do you believe in a celestial sphere? Is it a dome sphere? Like what is this? What is a star form? Because it measures as a sphere, right?
No, you're measuring what you can then depict as a perspective view represented as a dome, which is what's on my screen for my audience now. The latitude and longitude grid represents angles that recede towards the horizon. Well, you can then describe what is being effectively looked at, therefore perspective view, as being the dome of your vision, as something getting further and further away from you, over land that's further and further away from you, looks like it's going down, but it isn't. That's how you can diagrammatically represent it. But what you actually have to have an effect for that to work, I'm still talking. What you have to have an effect for that to work is a parallel plane. That is to say that sky runs parallel with the ground for this to functionally operate. The fact that it's depicted in a perspective view that recedes towards your horizon in a North Pole centric system doesn't mean it's so, and in fact isn't. The ground must be flat and the sky must be flat for the positions moving across it to be 90 degrees to your position at all times and at all elevations. Parallel sky and ground is what you require, not a dome.
Yeah, you did exactly what I thought. So you deny the celestial sphere, so you've got to admit it's a planar sky, because zeniths are all different locations relative to the surface, right?
Zeniths are all
like
different.
geometrically,
What do you mean zeniths are all different positions?
Yeah.
What do you mean zeniths?
Verticals. This is the paradigm of flat Earth, right? The verticals are all parallel.
Ask you a question. What do you mean zeniths? What do you mean when you say zeniths?
Parallel, vertical. Yeah, the point above your head, right?
There's only one point above my head.
On the surface of whatever surface you're
on. You used a plural. Zeniths, you said. Well, there's only one point above my head. We're already into an objection. I can't seem to manage to get my objection out without you talking through it. That's plural.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Well, you're not listening to what my objection is. That is to say, you've given it zeniths, like there's more than one of them. What's a zenith, you say? The point above your head. That's 1 point, not 2.
Yes.
So we're already into a bit of a problem with me understanding what you're talking about, because you've described like there's more than one of them. Zeniths? What?
Okay, we'll stick with one then. Let's stick with one, keep it basic. So there's one horizontal plane and one zenith relative to the observer. Okay, we'll agree upon that, right?
No, there's not one zenith either. What are you babbling about? There's not one zenith. Zenith is a description.
Here,
well, you just don't seem to understand the terminology you're using while you're trying to make an example for me to argue out it won't work on a flat Earth. But yet, there's one zenith. That's a nonsensical statement if ever I've heard one.
All right, let me roll back then. I'm ignoring the surface of the Earth right now. I'm just talking about an observer on the surface of whatever we're standing on and the sky and its correlation between each other. Okay, so whatever the surface you're standing on, for how many observers you want to use in this experiment, each observer has a different zenith and a different like star field above them, right? You agree? Because all verticals would be like parallel on a flat Earth or they'd be divergent on a globe, right?
No,
they're all different.
Okay, let me just answer you. Right.
That's how it's celestial.
Am I allowed to answer? So, no, what you're describing is a principle that's employed to save lives at sea. It's called celestial navigation. Facts of this system are that all zeniths are parallel with one another. It's a fact that has to hold true for you to measure GPs of stars and match them up in the almanac. So you seem to be positioning this like it's a circumstance that is dependent on something when it's an employed system called celestial navigation. Celestial navigation runs on the basis that the sky runs parallel with the ground and that the ground is flat and capable of giving you a baseline with 90-degree GP positions below all navigational stars. Therefore, this isn't something up for debate. This is a fact of celestial navigation.
That's all they do. That's what they do. That's literally how the globe survives. That's how they, I mean, they had no choice, right? So anybody who you ask, how is this plane flying over curvature? Well, yeah, of course they're going to tell you, oh, it's so big, you don't have to, you know? Like currently right now, we're being told it's inappropriate to measure the curve of the earth, right?
Yeah.
We measure it flat. Why? Because it's so big. Oh, that's a hell of a belief you got.
For 10 years, we've been dealing with their apologetics. Well, why do we survey it flat and build on it flat? Well, because in a small scale, Earth's so big, we treat it as flat. All right, and that leads to a rebuttal. So we treat it and measure it and build on it flat. But that's only because it's so big. Yeah, screw your apologetics. We're dealing with it, building on it, treating it, surveying it flat, right? Yeah, but only because it's so big. No. What we're actually doing is building on it flat then. So why is it that we've spent 10 years dealing with the apologetic for how flat it isn't when it's being dealt with by them and us as flat? Well, they deal with it flat because it is flat. We deal with it flat because it is flat. It's mapped, charted, and measured flat. It's built on flat. It's negotiated flat. It's flat. What's that? How do I deal with their apologetics for how big it is? I don't need to. It's dealt with flat in all instances by everyone, always.
And they were telling us that from the beginning. We just weren't hearing it.
What's that?
Yeah,
the planes.
Of papers that I've seen.
Go on, Spunky.
Sorry, man. I was just going to say, the number of papers I've seen where they say, assuming a stationary flat Earth, like, right there in the heading. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's NASA.
Oh, that happens to come from the same people that give you beautiful cartoons of a ball and tell you that's where you live. Isn't that appropriate?
We have to start.
Mention of the citations, right?
With flat, no?
Sorry. We need to start understanding as flat earthers that Earth is actually flat, and that is how it's actually dealt with. Because a lot of the people I tell this to recently go, "What? Nah, you're wrong." Like, no, I'm not wrong. The globes come from flat Earth measurements, and all inferences of a sphericity have come from flat Earth measurements also. The way we actually deal with Earth is flat, and they know it, and they tell us it. But then they apologise for how we wouldn't need to deal with it spherically because of blah, 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 blah. Therefore, we deal with it flat. Like, yeah, we deal with it flat. We need to start appreciating this as flat earthers and moving forward going, yeah, that's how we deal with Earth because that's how it is. And you do too, Mr. Globe Believer. Let's find out where your example leads us to a flat Earth prerequisite. That's a measurement of a flat Earth for you to make your globe fundy belief true. No. It's a paradox the moment you point out how the Earth's been measured flat for their sphere belief.
What does John
Concerning
say?
Monkey's
They
mention
need a
of the
flat Earth more
citations.
than we do.
He wants NASA citations. Is anybody from my panel in 24/7 Discord that can give Spunky Monkey a NASA citation that says Earth's dealt with flat?
I wanted to say this comment concerning a Monkey's comment. So yeah, when that fact is mentioned, that when you mention the citations from these professional institutions that teach their students to operate various machinery, especially travel vehicles, right, through the air, on the water, on the earth, especially through the air, that they are being taught to navigate and operate these machines on a flat, stationary, non-rotating plane. And then the apologetic response, which is just an ad hoc rescue fallacy. Well, it's just to make the math simpler. Well, that's a digression from the point. Furthermore, you're insinuating that that premise is false within the curriculum that these students are receiving. And so that necessarily reduces that reply to absurdity. You're telling me these professional institutions are teaching their students to operate this machinery with their lives and the lives of others in their hands in a cosmological paradigm that isn't real?
Yeah, you said it all when you said it's easier that way. No, if Earth was spherical, it would be easier to deal with it spherically. It's easier to deal with it flat, is their apologetics, because it is being dealt with flat. Quick shout out to Ian Leahy for the super chat. I don't know if he wants me dropping in a minute, but the comment I half read earlier and left out the commenter's name, that came from Ian Leahy. So my responses and this diagram, if I stick it back up on screen, was boshed together for Ian when I'm like, yeah, the equatorial mount's working on the equatorial plane. That's a flat plane. And you're dealing with leveling the tool to that plane. Leveling the tool. Yeah, it's all dealt with flat. Anyway, thanks for the super chat, Ian. Really appreciate the support. People can't believe it and they have to make apologetics after the fact. But somehow flat earthers in the last 10 years have got caught up in defending the apologetics rather than welcoming people to flat earth when they tell them how flat it is. Yeah, you're a globe believer and you're telling me so big it's flat. Yeah, it's flat. The functional bit, the measurement bit, that's flat, isn't it? Yeah, that's because it's flat.
The funniest part is they're trying to convince you that this paradigm that you believe in, we take that paradigm, even though it's complete opposite of what we believe, we're going to take that and use it because it makes the math simpler. Since when does it make life simpler when you take something for the exact opposite of what it actually is? Please tell me where people do that.
They don't, but
except
Yeah,
with
I'm
this.
trying to walk. Yeah, I'm trying to walk across the corner to the corner store. So I'm going to walk in the opposite direction while doing, high level algebra so I can get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we deal with it how it's dealt with. That's flat. Regardless of their apologetics, regardless of their transpositions inside hell for star angle measurements. It doesn't matter. We're dealing with it flat, regardless of how they dice it up. All the globe is a glorified protractor for a measurement of a flat plane that gives us angles to stars and the mapping systems that we actually use to negotiate Earth flat.
That's exactly what it is. A glorified protractor.
Our empathy
I
is...
think I'm gonna try to go see if Humble H is available because he is in the live stream over on your server. So he had a question yesterday about what you were saying about the elevation of angle of stars
Yeah,
don't
I think we
change
dealt with
regardless
that,
of
Eli.
your elevation.
I think we dealt with it in the pre-show.
Yeah, thank you, Eli. Yeah,
But
we've now
maybe
got a
again,
live audience, Neil. Thanks for deciding that the live audience doesn't get that.
Sorry.
So, okay. Well, I didn't know y'all talked about it though.
Okay, one of the principles that's being utilised in celestial navigation is that the sky and ground run parallel with one another. But further to that, the altitude that you measure a star with to navigate the ground flat does not change with elevation. That is to say that if you are in a boat and you are measuring an angle that requires a flat Earth, first and foremost, you've got to understand that Earth must be flat for this to work. You measure your angle. So you've got the star that's 1,000 miles away with an angle to it, and you've got a 90 degree from your dinghy to the GP position of the star you're measuring. Okay, everyone's clear. You've got a triangle with a flat base on the ground. Good. Now you've got a helicopter that theoretically can hover at 50,000 feet. As absurd as this sounds, it's just an example. So your helicopter is directly over the dinghy that you're measuring the angle. Now, just for simple numbers, we're going to say that the angle's 20 degrees. So you in your boat have got a 20-degree angle to the star that you're using for navigation. The guy in the helicopter, 50,000 feet above you, has also got a sextant. And he also gets 20 degrees to the star, exactly the same as you do. That is to say that the sky, running parallel with the ground, will, by way of the majesty of the heavens, provide the same angle at all elevations. Therefore, as a navigation system with latitude and longitude, you can deal with the world with zero elevation changes when traversing the territory. When you navigate across the flat plane that we dwell atop, you can ignore all elevation changes because all horizontals run parallel with the ground and sky. Eye level will run parallel with the ground and sky. Surface level will run parallel with any horizontal you establish at any point at any altitude. How fantastic and majestic the heavens are in order for us to have actually expanded the known territory of our worlds thanks to this principle that we must understand and must utilize Earth as a prerequisite flat plane to navigate it. I'm done. Hello, John.
So are you saying that the stars do not obey our geometry?
Geometry is a description of shape. Well, if you're going to ascribe the triangle that I did to the angle below the star and your angle to it with a flat baseline, then by pure inference of standard geometry, you would, if you're describing that triangle and raising in altitude, assume if the position of that star that you're measuring has a geographic position as opposed to the ground position that we use. That is to say, it has a fixed location in the sky with a three-dimensional coordinate you can ascribe to it. Then as you raise in altitude, the expectation would be that the angle to that decreases as you raise in altitude. Akin to you standing next to a lighthouse and cricking your neck to look at it because it's 100 foot high and you're on the ground. Then you raise up to 95 feet and you don't have to crick your neck anymore. The angle reduces. Well, that doesn't happen with the stars. They do not obey that sort of principle that we would expect based on how everything else with a fixed altitude does behave. The stars don't. And because they don't, we can utilize an almanac that puts the position of the star above a piece of land at a given time, and it makes no difference how high you are when you measure the angle to that star. It's still above the same ground position in all instances. So you can have a universal almanac that doesn't have to ascribe height beyond your correction if using the horizon to establish the Earth as a horizontal plane of reference.
That's amazing.
It
The
is.
Earth is flat.
We can only thank God that we've got stars that behave the way they do. Because we would have never found our way around if they didn't. Lucky
That's a
old
slam
us.
dunk.
So, yeah, it's a slam dunk. Earth's dealt with flat to this day, regardless of your religious belief in spheres that have come from the church's derivations of these flat plane measurements to give better predictive capabilities to the church so they know when Easter's going to come around next year.
That would be this next Sunday.
Good job. Thank heliocentrism for that. We're in 24/7 Discord today, John, just so you know. Our intention was to stay in Earth Awakenings for several days, but I was cast down and we were told to come elsewhere, so hence we're with you guys today.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
If there's a blazing row, the unpacking of said row will be tomorrow. I'll come back like I did with Earth Awakenings yesterday, rather than leaving it open-ended after we disappear a short period later.
There was a blazing row this morning.
No. But there was on 24/7, no, not 24/7, Earth Awakenings on Monday. So Witsit and I had to thrash out the ideas that Witsit was challenging when saying, oh, well, it might just be that our instruments aren't accurate enough to show that there's a difference in angle as you raise in elevation. Or, with an appeal to the future fallacy, his ideas that maybe down the line we'll find out, if we can go higher than we have already, that the angle does change as we raise in elevation. So that had to be thrashed out, because the basic principles of celestial navigation and the majesty of the heavens I've just described must be understood for you to in any way move forward with that principle of navigation and an understanding of how the globe came to be, because that's how it was derived.
It wasn't thrashed out because he never conceded.
No, he
You were
flip-flopped.
kicked out because he was wrong?
No, he flip-flopped. Oh, I don't disagree with any of that, would be the sentiment that he'd put across after disagreeing with it for quite a significant period. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Nathan. How are things, everyone?
Good.
You were asked to leave because he was wrong.
Irish.
It's not wrong. It's just ignorant. He didn't understand how the stars worked. That was blatantly obvious, and I did state that verbally during the discussion.
Well, John is asking if we were asked to leave because of that.
No, we weren't asked to leave at all. I don't know if that'll be the case in 24/7. We haven't annoyed anybody yet, as far as I know. I mean, maybe the Globe believer, but my lack of empathy hasn't been, in any way shot down as being unreasonable. So there we go.
So you weren't asked to leave Earth Awakenings?
No. What gave you that impression?
You did.
Me? I didn't give that impression. I gave the impression that you guys didn't want to return for a third day. We'd had the discussion and then digested it the following day, and now we're in 24/7 Discord with this beautiful bunch of people.
You were cast down by us. Okay, I get it. Though.
Yeah, you specifically.
I knew
Eli.
that's what he meant.
Yeah, definitely. But now where are you guys?
I don't think 3 days in a row. I don't think 3 days in a row they could have handled that. It's a wise choice to come here.
I thought Brenda was.
I was just going to say, I imagine the question, what difference in questions that you must get between the two, but yeah, yep. Okay.
You guys, right?
I'm glad for it.
Other than being server muted, which was perfectly justified by the mod team because Neil couldn't shut up. But that's, good.
Here we go again.
No, you want to know that's going to happen. If I join a server and someone's having a really good discussion and they've got to their point, in this case, Indy, he's got to his point where he's like, you need to appreciate that you've succumbed to the control of the government and relinquished all acknowledgement of a creator. That's a pretty powerful point he's trying to get through. We come in and go, "Hi, we're flat earth debate, we're here, we're ruining your point." No. Got to server mute that crap, and I'm glad they did.
That's not what we said. I asked, what's the scientific idea?
Yeah, Copernicus isn't science. Sometimes you let stuff slide, though. Indy didn't need that point ruining his actual point, did he, Neil, at that moment?
No, he didn't.
Right. He didn't read between the lines, so we got server muted because of you. And Eli had to go in and sort it all out for us and mop up the mess that he semi-caused.
But I thought Eli said we're server muted automatically until he goes in there and lets the mods know.
No, not me. I'm special.
Yeah, well, I had a conversation yesterday about, bringing you guys in. I was like, because I said, tomorrow or something. I don't know if I said tomorrow or just in general. I'm going to have Nathan come in here, and there were some objections like, "Oh, but don't they do their own thing?" Yeah, I don't know if that will work over here. And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's just like gonna be like anybody else who comes in here, but with people on the panel, like."
Yeah, we're like the guy that
And
comes
then,
around the school, that you book and the whole assembly hall gets called and he sits at the front of the assembly. Well, we're a bit like that. We're a group that comes and sits and says, "Don't do globe drugs. Just tell them it's measured flat." And at the end of the workshop, we'll say, "Right, everyone, say it with me. Earth is measured flat. Earth is measured flat." No, we're not going to do that. But that's the hope. The hope is that gets drummed in. probably what we said when we came here last week or the week before, right? Same thing that we've been saying since the 1st of January.
Well, you got a big fan that's following you wherever you go in your
I was
server.
gonna say, group huddle, whatever. That made me laugh, dude. That was really funny.
Who's that? Who's the fan?
The big fan is Professor Danny Faulkner, Danny57. Everywhere you go, he's there on moot.
He was here before I got here. I saw him in the server before I got here, so that can't be true.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just before I joined,
He
I
must-
glanced over who was in the room, and he was in there.
Well, he must have got wind
Yeah,
of
but
it
he
because
was in our server first, Nathan. He just followed you here.
Oh, I see.
Sorry about that.
No, my bad. I saw him in our server before I joined it. My bad. I take it back.
Yep. He's been following you wherever you go. He might be writing another book.
Every
QE, what
breath
up, bro?
you take.
That's a creepy old song when you know the
Don't ruin
meaning.
a good song. Don't ruin a good song, man. That's a good one. Come on.
You what, hun? You searching for my phone?
Stacy, what up? It's good, Stace.
I'm
Sorry, Nate.
Sydney. It's not Stacy. It's okay. I get that a lot. But I'll
I
never
knew
say
it wasn't
sweetie.
Stacy, because if it was Stacy,
but I never say sweetie.
if it was Stacy, she'd be yelling at Nathan by now.
It's
Wait,
not
hold on.
Stacy.
It's not? Damn, my bad. You
It's not
sound just like
Stacy,
her.
Elijah.
That's why I said
Right,
she'd
right.
be yelling at
Oh,
Nathan
dang.
by now.
Thanks, QE. Missed you too,
What's
man.
up, Eli?
If it was Stacy, she'd be saying, "It's not your year, Nathan."
No, there's another Stacy. Also, Neil.
So what was that then? I'm not looking at any names. I'm not. I'm working, so I can't see anything.
That's not a stick save, chocolate.
But to Stacey's sentiment
is
in that
it, though?
regard, right? Saying it's not your year. What does your year mean? Well, it means I've taken it upon myself to go out to places like 24/7, or in that case, Earth Awakenings, to say, I can help you move the flat Earth argument forward because we've now got a silver bullet. Earth is measured flat. This is the most powerful argument you will ever use in your flat Earth career, and therefore it's worth me putting my neck out there and going and telling you about it. That's what I'm saying. Now, I can dress that up because I've been a salesman for many years with positive spin and go, this is my year, like I'm some bleeding politician. That's just hype. Just building a bit of a hype train. But for some reason, there's naysayers, in this case Stacey, that are like, it's not your year. What, my year to tell people Earth's measured flat? I'm pretty sure that people are quite receptive to that, and upon disbelief being gotten over, which is all I'm being confronted with, nah, that can't be right. What, just Earth's measured flat? Yeah, it is, yeah. Nah. Apart from the globe believers, believe it or not. They're the only ones that are like, yeah, Earth is measured flat, but that's because it's so really, really big. Or yeah, it is measured flat, but that's because it's easier that way. The globe believers have given me more affirmation than the flat earthers have because they're in disbelief at the moment, but it's early doors. But I'll keep doing it till people say it back to me, which hasn't happened so far. I tested the water jokingly by way of comparison. Earth is measured flat. Yeah, that's my key to say for people to snigger and go, yeah, but it is. But people aren't picking up what I'm putting down yet. They will. But you'll keep seeing me, and eventually you'll get annoyed with me saying it, that you'll go, we'll only get rid of this idiot if we start telling him the fact that it is measured flat back to him. So he recognises that we've heard it. That's all I mean by it's my year. What, my year to go out and do a shed ton of work? Yeah, basically. But I can spin that positively. Worthy work. We all need to be doing this in the most sincere tone I can take. It is thousands of more times effective when you tell someone Earth's measured flat than say you've been lied to about how the globe you think you're still on is still going to be cognitively processed as I go through how it don't work. all that person's doing is going globe, 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 globe. If you just never even mention it and go, yeah, we measure Earth flat. That's how the maps work. And then talk about elevation angle measurements to Polaris. If that's the only thing I leave like a dirty, horrible smell around these servers after the end of this year, that measurements to Polaris are the basis for all the maps, and they can only be done off a flat plane. If everyone understands how that progresses our mapping system, including the globe, if everyone understands that, they'll all be moving forward telling their friends and family, if they choose to do so, about flat Earth, rather than speculation about the Illuminati, speculation about domes, speculation about ice walls. Nah. Just tell them about how the maps and how they were developed and how the systems actually work. If you understand latitude, you can prove Earth's measured flat all day long. Because it is.
Wonder what Danny Faulkner thinks about that Earth measured flat.
He's still here.
He accepts it. He just thinks that it's measured from hell.
That's correct. He thinks the angles are coming from hell. Hell's angles.
Okay, so if you want to know, just for a sec, as an audience, if you want to know what we're talking about, on screen now, this is in Skype if you want to check it out, guys. It was the response I gave to Ian Lee. He just turns out to be quite useful. Here's the equatorial plane. Here's a North Pole centric system with you measuring angles. Well, that can have a globe wrapped around it, around your position in the center of the globe, which means that all the globe becomes is a glorified protractor to measure angles through, because you're not standing on the surface of the protractor with the nice pretty pictures of land masses painted on it. But what you are standing on to measure angles to these stars in all instances for all maps ever is the equatorial plane. Because that's how it works. That's how angles are measured. So here's you standing on the equatorial plane with these rings around you, which you can then take an inference of sphericity from. But they're just representing a two flat level plane horizontal system with the sky and ground, and how, from your perspective, objects in the far distance that are over lands far, far away, that would be a star over a piece of land far, far away, would appear to be close to the horizon, therefore a perspective view. But that isn't how the world actually represents itself. What the world actually represents itself is as two flat planes, one the sky, one the ground, and that's all you're dealing with. Go on, Brian. Go, Brian, go. Or don't.
I think he was going to yell at me.
Whatever gave you that impression?
I brought up Danny Faulkner.
What's wrong with bringing up Danny Faulkner? He's right there in the discussion. He's just not opening his mic or responding to anything we say in a voice chat. What is he going to say? Yeah, I appreciate that we make angle measurements. Say again, John?
Yeah, Danny Faulkner guy needs to be ashamed of himself. He stood in front of a congregation of God's people and told them that they measure angles from hell. Sir, you are a piece of garbage.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. It's not that they're not going to accept it in the church. They will not relinquish heliocentrism.
No, you'll find out exactly what's going on with Danny when his new book is published. The Psychology of Flat Earth. That's his next book, I bet you. Some heap of nonsense hit piece. He's got no evidence for a globe. So what's he going to come up with?
Flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris to base the globe on.
No, I see what Brian's saying. Yeah. I see what Brian's saying. He's going to come up with some nonsense psychological book on why we think and believe what we believe. But we don't have a belief, we have a knowledge.
Yeah, some hippies documentary or book, you know what I mean? Another book or hippies documentary. And he's going to be very, very cordial throughout the whole documentary or book. He's going to try and speak as if he's speaking with respect, when really he's pissing down your back and claiming it's raining.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
It's my own. Sorry, Kiwi's going to say something.
I think he's eating breakfast.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something.
Well, if he was going to be the angry teacher at their students. What did we do wrong now, teacher?
I believe it's over already. I guess time flies when you're having fun.
Who's having fun now?
You guys get mind tricked. You get Jedi mind tricked. Stick on the topic.
It is Chewie.
He's not biting, Neil, but that was very good.
Then after that, you get, well, was it me? Did I do it? Did I say something? And Nathan will go, surely I wasn't there. Oh, you were all there. I'm going to listen back.
Yeah, I'll be taking notes or something, he'll say.
I'm going to listen back and I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to hand you your ass. Yes, Sarge.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Do you guys remember when Spurs Chemo was claiming there was no gas pressure at all? That was a fairy tale in itself?
Yeah, he made his channel name a namesake to that. He called himself Under No Pressure.
Oh, that's right. He did. Pretty clever.
Yeah,
where's he been lately anyway? Sorry, John.
I was going to say, wasn't his one claim to fame that trick where they put a tiny mesh grating over a cup and trick you into thinking the water is staying where it's at, and then getting you to say that the water will fall out if you turn it upside down? And that was his proof there wasn't any pressure.
That's what a guy brought up yesterday, too. Was it the same thing when he was talking to you, Brian? The guy that was, I won't say he was simping for Dell, but you know he was one of Dell's guys. Just by
I
the
don't
way
think
he
he
was
was one of
asking
Dell's.
questions.
I don't think he was one of
No?
Dell's. I think he was just interested. Nah, I don't think so. He wasn't, because he didn't argue back with me. If he was one of Dell's guys, he would have been arguing like mad. He wasn't arguing, he was just asking questions. You know what I mean? If you're following a narrative and someone goes against it, you argue back with them. He wasn't arguing back. No, he was just asking things.
Yeah, but once you find out the cause is the man, shouldn't it end right there?
Well, he had an explanation that didn't make sense, and he accepted it didn't make sense, but he wanted our explanation for the demonstration with the explanation that didn't make sense.
He had watched my video on the subject, and he felt he wasn't sure what I was saying in the video, which I can understand because the way I did the video, I can understand it. You know, but basically, if there's no down, then there's no, you can't put pressure on the scales. Simple as.
Yeah, that's correct.
You have no, you have, in the medium of air, for instance, Neil, you have no downward force to press on the scales. So the scales is only going up. There's no resistance to it. You're not a resistance to it within that paradigm. Technically, technically what it means is that everybody and everything is just floating, with the exception of the Earth. The Earth is going up. Everything else is just floating, you know. But how does a helium balloon go up then? Do you know what I mean? And an airfield balloon go down. And the other, yeah, it's nonsense. The whole weighing scales solve that problem. Weight doesn't exist, so weighing scales have to read 0 for everybody and everything. Nothing can be anything more than 0.
Yeah, but you toss a bottle out the window, and certain things happen that can't be explained with your static Earth.
But should it be the end of the conversation? For some people, no. They want the man-made phenomena that's been conjured in the parlour tricks to still be explained in the same way people are like, well, why does the torsion bar twist?
Yeah. Some people, they just want the man-made phenomena, and they want to go with whatever. They're just not going to. They're just not interested in what is. They only want what they want there to be.
It feels like it's been a while since we've had to ask somebody, do we find torsion bars in nature?
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
That's when Cavendish was like the go-to. Remember that for like 5 minutes?
Yep.
Fucking Glovers.
The Cavendish experiment.
The way you're saying that, Neil, just sounds so sarcastic.
That's quick. Say something.
Yeah, quick, say something. Yeah, because that nails it, chocolate. Because that's what they've done. That's what they did for years. Just quick, say something.
If mass, then mass attracts mass. That's quick. Say something.
With an old school baller on, telling us that we'd have to change the whole of science if it wasn't a globe. That was brilliant.
When was that, Nathan?
Today. Not only science, language.
Are you serious? Wow.
Get us.
What rock was he on for the past 9 years?
The globe.
Yeah, he was under the globe.
He still is. Nathan laid it out brilliantly where Earth is measured flat. I mean, you can't refute it. But he turned around and said, well, then science would have to be changed. Language. And he went into a whole bunch of other things. He thinks all the math that's used when you're getting the elevation angle and all the measurements you're doing, that all comes from heliocentrism. That's his mindset.
I can sort of kind of agree with that in a way, right? So we can go back to meaning what you say and saying what you mean. So we don't say ridiculous things like atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
I like to get to a point where I don't have to say that anymore because that's just silly.
Well, let's not be uncharitable. Atmosphere is not only said in the sense of a geometric concept.
Give us a few more then.
What did he say? I'm sorry, I missed what he said.
I don't know. It was very fast.
I think he was saying it's not the only one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's not the only sense of the word atmosphere. It's not only saying a spherical air or a ball of air.
Yeah, but that's... I know what you mean, but that's where it comes
in the room
from.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I get that, but like, would we be using that? That's what I'm saying. Would we be using that if it was already used to describe the air we're breathing? You know what I mean?
That's true, because they do say the atmosphere of the room was very, very energetic. So that's not implying a sphere, right?
What I've noticed, and I've said this in the past, Neil, you've said it as well, and I'm not sure if any of the rest of you said it, but I've noticed in the past 4 years, maybe a little bit more, they've really ramped up the use of the word globe and global. Every single show, whether it be television or mainstream or pretty big YouTubers, whatever, every time they're mentioning the world, it's always the globe, right? It's a global phenomenon all across the globe, the whole globe. They just never shut up about it. And I listened to a little bit of older television, a reel of some kind of older television. It was American TV, I think, or British television, only a while back. And they talked about it, and they said, well, all across the world, what they're saying is blah, blah, blah. And then I heard some other thing again, a shorter clip from older television, and they were mentioning, when they referenced the world, they were saying the whole world, not the whole globe or all around the globe or across the globe, the whole world, just world. Now and again in the past you would have heard the word globe and global and this and that and everything, but it's really ramped up to ridiculous degrees these days. It's like, why do you need to do that? It's really sad. Why do you need to do that?
Yeah, they used to say worldwide, across the world, or worldwide in British TV, didn't they?
Yeah, all the time.
It's because the heat we're putting on. Nathan thinks I'm crazy, but it's right here. The Flat Earth debate, 24/7. Everything we do is putting heat on them. So now they got to keep reifying the global. It's a global phenomenon.
Yeah, that's part of their in-house rules that they've got now. They've been given to mention the globe as much as possible because the flat Earth is coming. It has arrived. They are not stopping. We need to shut this down. So you keep that word glowing. Global warming, global this, everything. The globe. Yeah, you're right. They can't get enough rockets up there either. Have you noticed every other day there's a rocket going up now?
Yeah, they can't stop at them rockets.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they claiming there's people in them rockets?
It's just that they're claiming their rockets are going to space. Whether there's people in them or not, the rockets are going to space.
Yeah.
If that's, you know what I mean? One rocket after the other.
Yeah.
And it's all these different
they've got
satellites and different reasons.
cargo ships. Yeah, they can't get the rockets up quick enough. They just cannot. Every other Peru's knocking on the door now. Peru wants to get in on the space program now. They want to start theirs. Peru, you know. Oh,
will that be a cocaine smuggling operation?
Yeah, special shipment to the moon.
Well, I mean,
they're
they
going to be
got some
building bases on the
competition.
moon, aren't they?
They got some
Well, they put out
competition
a
now,
claim.
right? Because the Indian space moon landing.
That's right.
Talk about some special effects, baby.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Lego. Lego.
Yo, seriously, if anybody is listening has not seen that or laughed at it, taken a good hearty laugh, please go look up the ridiculous Indian, and this is in quotes, Indian moon landing. I mean,
yes, please go and check it. This is a country that this is a country since 1977 to the present day has had over 2,500 bridges collapse in India, and they're still using pre-World War II roadway system, and yet they've got 2 satellites supposedly on elliptical orbit around the moon. Then the 3rd one landed, and they're currently on their way to the sun. Currently. Come on, India, please.
What's the incentive for
own
joining
space
these
program.
rocket launches? Like, it doesn't make sense why third world countries would want to start launching rockets. It's a huge human resource, human capital drain. It's a huge financial drain on these countries. I mean, like you said, Jin, they're still rocking World War II railway tracks, and they got collapsing bridges everywhere, but they want to shoot stuff into space. It doesn't make any sense why they would even want to do that.
Well, it's only a matter of time before the Sinaloa cartel are being. It's been claimed that they are smuggling drugs through space. Isn't it? It's only a matter of time, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, they got that
control
real
to Major
space cake
Tom. The
dog.
shipment's coming in.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I've started my own space program because I'm going to do the same thing they do, measure inclination off a flat plane and elevation off a flat plane. And yeah, it'll work out.
Oh dear. Flat strikes again.
I just hope they never actually tell us that, oh, we found oil on the moon. Uh-oh. Sounds like the moon's going to need some freedom.
Uh-oh. So when India landed there, did they remove the American flag, or did they land on the dark side of the moon?
They didn't land there at all.
Well, they landed on the south side. They landed at the south side, but on the dark side, as you said, the far side. Yeah, they didn't land anywhere
Hold
near
on, Brian.
the US.
Brian, how can you tell me they did not land on the moon? I saw the video.
The good one, chocolate. The barrio of the moon.
Next, Puerto Rico's good. Next, you're going to tell me Puerto Rico sending one up?
Causing feedback, Jin.
UPS, I'll consider it.
Jin, you're causing feedback.
Yeah, sorry about that. The next one will be the Aborigines are sending one up. What are you talking about?
Wait a second. I got to
see that the UPS are going to be using the space for bringing packages.
Is Italy getting in on the game? Have the Italians sent anything up?
Hey guys, space begins at surface level, just so you know. So we're all in space right now.
Yeah, by definition.
Whee!
I tell you, won't be doing one. Ireland. I can guarantee you that. You check out the Irish military. I'm telling you, they're using planes that do like 250 miles per hour. The World War II planes were faster. I'm telling you, if you hear that, you know there's no way around it then.
Well, let me tell you something. In 1969, that was a big event. I remember. I was only 4 years old, but I remember everything. There was people over the house. Everybody was watching the TV. I mean, that was the big thing. That was the nail in the coffin. That was the first real picture of the blue marble. That was an event. So don't dare tell me that didn't happen. America.
Yes, I remember watching it on TV and then going out into the playground of my estate where I used to live in London, right? And I looked up and I said, look, there's people on the moon right now, to my brothers. Look at that. There's people running around on that moon right now. Look, as we're looking at it. Wow. I remember saying, you know.
Yeah, Joe Namath re-signed with the Jets. This is Joe Namath re-signed with the Jets, and the back page was "Forget the moon, Broadway Joe's back." I actually still had all the original newspapers up until 5 years ago. I had all the original newspapers. My father had saved them, but now they're gone.
Someone from Discord is trying to get in there.
Sorry, go
Hey,
ahead.
Jen, what are you talking about that TV series back in the day, Space 1999, where man had a lunar station and so on, walking on the moon? Is that what you're talking about?
I remember that very well, Space 1999, yeah, and they had the lunar bases there, yeah. It came after UFO. There's a program called UFO, and then after that series came on. So yes, I remember it very well.
Yeah, science fiction.
Yeah.
There was some pretty famous space movie where the year they were doing all this space stuff was 1997. I can't remember which one it was, but remember, in the year 1997, like it was made back in the late 70s or something. It's just like 1997.
Prince said we're going to party like it's 1999.
Land on the moon like it's 1999.
Yeah, but even on the James Bond movie with Sean Connery, yeah, they invade a scenery where they're pretending to be on the moon with gravity and the rovers and everything. And there is a scene that they're shooting through it, you know? Unbelievable, ridiculous. Nevertheless, it's brainwashing.
Well, I
Well, of
remember.
course, James Bond had to steal the lunar lander. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I forget the name, but I know the scene.
I remember Moonraker. That was with Roger Moore, and that was as good a space, I don't know what word to use, mock-up as NASA was giving anyone at the time.
Yeah, but that was supposedly on the
Moonraker,
satellite.
that was James Bond, right?
Yeah.
Yo, who knows who I am? Real quick, go ahead. First guy gets a cookie.
Hey, Harp, no cookie for me though.
A cookie. All right.
Voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, I used to talk to you guys back in the day, like 4 years ago. I got thrown out of your. Then I got banned from everything by Arwen.
Oh. What's the name again? Because I'm remembering the voice.
Wow.
Harp.
Amazing.
Oh, Harp. I knew the voice.
Hey, George, we know you
yes.
know. You already said.
Well, why'd you get banned by Owen? What did he do? What'd you do? Here
I
you got
called him a
banned?
clown. Yeah, I called him a clown, and he banned me from the YouTube channel.
His or
Roy just
Nathan?
banned
Which
me
one you
from
talking about?
Nathan. FED. FED
Interesting.
YouTube. Arwen banned me from that. And
That's discrimination, man. Can't be a
RF
clown
banned
these
me
days.
from the RF banned me
So I
from
get
the Discord
reprimanded
server.
from timing people out. I never banned anybody, but other people can ban people. Okay.
Well,
Oh,
Arwen
brother.
did it,
Yeah, but
you know.
what's
We
wrong with
still
being
in,
a clown? I mean,
are we still
a
in
job like any
24/7?
other.
Yes. How you doing, Hop?
No, I just came back to actually talk to you guys. I haven't been here in a long time, bro. Like almost 4 years ago. Both of the servers. This one.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
What's up, Jen?
Welcome back from the wilderness.
Did you
Great to
request
hear your voice
Nathan if
again.
you could get back on the show, or you just stay banned? Because
get
I
back on the
remember
show, man.
you used to be in Discord all the time.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, why don't you just get back?
Everybody left, man, because we weren't getting along with RF. And now, you know, Don's gone, right? Don, remember Don?
Yeah, I remember Don. Yeah.
He's gone. He's
Yeah,
he's
we
dead.
heard.
He killed himself.
What?
Who's Don?
Shame that is.
Don,
Yeah, I don't
me
know who
and
you're
Don
talking
and
about.
Sin and Steve and Shines and all them people that used to be over there. Don,
Yeah.
he created the first asylum when Apocryphon. When we separated from you guys because we were getting a lot of shit from RF.
Right. So you say Don has ended his life? Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah, he's been going since August
2023, August 20th or something.
year,
I forget
right.
now.
Right, because I did hear of him last year. I heard about him. You know, he was talking and that. He was all right last year. He was online.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a shock.
Yeah, we used to talk all the time, and then he would do that. He would say, "I'm going to kill him." I'm just be like, "Don, stop it," you know. I'd DM him, and then he'd keep doing it, and I'd say, "You know what, Don? Just go fucking kill yourself already and shut the fuck up."
No
And then in a
swearing.
DM, I'd say,
Yeah,
"Don,
please don't swear.
don't really do that." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just telling you how it went.
Yeah, no, it's tragic.
tell you the
No, I
word
get
to
it.
use.
It's tragic.
That kind of sucked. He's a young man, had a lot to live for. He didn't think he did. I don't know. Didn't make any sense. Anyway, where are the Globers?
So we're trying to figure out how to tell us we measure Earth flat while maintaining that it's actually a ball, but we measure it flat because it's so big of a ball. That's what they're doing.
They're still doing that? They don't understand their own radius? Their own math? Still?
Well, Bacon got destroyed. I call him Sausage. Sausage Bacon got destroyed the other day, though. He got completely squashed. Completely. Done. Well done, guys. Well done.
Yeah, but they're not ballers, are they? They say
No.
to claim a radius of 3959 miles is a red herring. So they're not ballers.
Red herring. Wow.
Yeah.
I know as
the
soon as they
math.
saw the black swan, the refraction started. That's all I know. And it's not stopped. You know, they still say the same thing. Extreme
Yeah,
refraction.
the
Yeah,
math.
okay. You want to show me that, please? But you know,
Well,
they
Hawk,
don't
we're telling them today,
refraction.
Hawk. We're going with our front foot forward, saying Earth is measured flat. Bottom line, end of story. How you feel about that?
Oh, when you look at all the military documents, bro, it's pretty much, you know, what are you going to do? How are you going to argue with that?
Their mathematics as
Navigate.
well is
That's why
based
they-
on Earth being flat.
What was that, John?
Everything's
Yeah, their mathematics for a sphere is based on Earth being flat, with ground level being a horizontal plane.
Yeah, we're not debunking the globe anymore. We're proving flat Earth. Debunking of the globe is dead.
Maybe for you. Hey, Brian, why don't you leave 24/7 a little gem with your does perspective exist? And the Earth curve.
Oh, you want me to go through that now, QE, do?
Yeah, I'd like you to leave 24/7 because I think that it's quite profound, and it'll leave them something to use, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll do that right now. No worries. You have to thank me for that. An observer with their eye line at the water, which is 0 degrees, right, which would be a tangent on a globe, right? A boat that's 6 foot high off the water that sails away from them will disappear at 3 miles away on a globe of 3,959 miles because it will have sailed over Earth curve, right? On a flat plane, an observer with their eye line at the waterline, same scenario, but now not globe, flat plane. A boat that's 6 foot high will disappear at 3 miles away for an observer with their eye line at the waterline, which is 0 degrees, because the boat will reach an angular size of 0.02 degrees. Now, that means under the Earth curve scenario, the 6-foot boat will disappear for the observer. And under the perspective scenario, the 6-foot boat will disappear for the observer. So it comes down to this. Either it's our curve, it's perspective, or it's both. So if it's both, then what will happen is when the boat is 1.8 miles away, the bottom 3 foot of that boat will be blocked by our curve, and the top 3 foot of the boat will have an angular size of 0.02 degrees. So that means the boat would disappear. If our curve and perspective both existed simultaneously, then the boat would disappear at less than 2 miles, at 1.8 miles away. Now, in reality, we know that that boat will disappear at 3 miles away, not 1.8 miles, not 2 miles, 3 miles. So consequently, that means that when the boat is disappearing at 3 miles, it can only be either our curve or perspective, right? We know perspective exists. That means we've just disqualified our curve. That's it.
Nice.
You hear that, Danny?
All right. I'm sure he's heard it.
Huey said for 24/7, and then he goes, "You hear that, Danny?" I like that.
Everyone get that in 24/7. Very powerful argument. It doesn't sound like it has teeth. Yeah, it's got some sharp incisors.
Yeah, you just got to think about it.
Whether you're disqualifying, you have 3 options, and you're disqualifying 2 of them, which leaves you with only 1. That's the whole point of it, isn't it? It's either our curve and perspective, or only perspective.
Well, isn't it funny though? Because it's usually, according to their supposed claim, it's only one option. Everything, it has to be curvature, right?
Yep.
Until it's not that, and then all of a sudden, well, oh wait, we have other reasons and other ways to explain why we're seeing what we're seeing. But until then, it's only. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they came with a whole list for us, but they only have one. Got to be Earth curve.
Well, the thing about it is that
Danny's not present though.
Danny's not present. Well, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we don't care. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I've left it.
Well, the thing about it is that with that argument, you're starting at the start, which is an observer with 0 observer height and a 6-foot object sailing away from that person, right? So you're starting at the start. You're not looking at mountains 100 miles away or trying to figure this thing out or that thing out at 50 miles away. It's purely very simple. Just 3 miles, is it our curve or perspective? If it's not our curve at 3 miles, it's not our curve at 60 miles, is it? It's because it's either our curve or it's not. That's simple. And it's not our curve.
That's why I love it. It's so simple. It's devastating.
Yeah, see, it's one of those things. The ballers will agree that angular size change with distance exists, but then they'll have to deny it to claim our curve. So these people are willing to live in contradiction. So we can only make the argument to them, and it's the listener who hears it that argument will be so powerful for. Because you're not going to convince someone like the other day with your man Jesse, Path of Light. He didn't care what I said to him. He still was looking for a debate, even after he was just being disproven. So, it didn't matter to him what I had to say. Which is why I think everyone should charge. If all the flat earthers started charging the ballers for debates, if you just charge them if they want a debate, charge them. You get paid for your time. Then, at least when you're in that debate and you're giving them proofs or you're disproving them, and they're hand-waving away what you're doing and just rehashing the nonsense you've just taken apart, at least you know that you're not going to be going home empty-handed. You'll have some cash in your pocket. So charge for debates. If all the flat earthers start charging for debates, it would be so much better. The whole arena would be so much better. Because what are the borders going to do? They're going to have to pay up. Because they're the ones who need the debates. We don't need the debates. Many years ago, maybe we did.
Yeah, they're not going to pay you, bro. It's not going to happen. So the best thing to do is stop going on their platforms and making them tons of money. Right.
No,
stop
the best thing
going
is,
on their platforms and making them money is what you need to do.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. See, if they want you to debate, oftentimes it's on a platform that belongs to one of them. That's the point. If all the flat earthers just start charging, they don't want to pay flat earthers, and that leaves flat earthers time to do their own things. You can focus on flat earth stuff, on stuff to do with reality, learning about things. You don't have to give your time to someone who's going to spend 2 hours wasting it. So when they don't pay you, you just don't debate, and that's it. Now, I'm not talking about a situation where, I'm not talking about, just 1 second, Harp. I'm not talking about a situation where you're being invited on into a university to debate somebody or on national TV or something. That's something, depending on the situation, yeah, it's worth doing. But if it's just your average, as Kiwi says, rank and file baller, the people we have in this arena, then they have to pay. Or they should have to pay for your time. And it's not about your debate skills, it's your time.
I'm sorry, it's not rank and file ballers. It's skank and file ball tarts.
Yeah, Brian's right. The other day it happened to him. After he destroyed the guy, he said, well, you want to debate me? The debate was over. You destroyed him.
Yeah, we had a very short debate, and he had lost immediately. And he had lost in the past because, that was the third time I was after showing the guy to be wrong. But it doesn't matter because he knew that I already charged for debates. So he knew by asking me that I was going to say, if I said, yeah, I'll debate you, and they didn't put a charge on it, then then I can be accused of avoiding other debates by the ballers, which is what they want to do. Or if I put a charge on it, they can all say, oh, you won't debate him. Completely, which takes the focus away completely from the debate we just had, where he was proven wrong. If he'd even called it a debate, he was proven wrong. That's it. So instead of addressing any of that, he wants to spend 2 hours of my time on Jaron's channel, someone I don't like, debating me, right? Hand waving away everything I show. And I'm going to do that for nothing? No way. You're going to pay me my 5,000 euros. If you want me there, it's 5,000 euros for 2 hours or 3,000 euros for 1 hour. I want it paid at least 4 days, at least 4 working days prior to the debate. Don't worry, I'll be there. Have no doubt. If that debate didn't take place, you get your money back, no doubt about it. But I'm going to get paid if I'm going to spend my time ever again with people who can hand wave away anything you say and ignore anything you say, and there's zero consequences. The person on the podium in front of the faculty and students of a university can't do that so easy. The person on television can't do that so easy, because they are going to be held to task. People are going to say, how come you didn't address this, they didn't address that? The same way as I would be. So
if they actually want you, they'll pay you.
Exactly.
I got paid.
Well, yeah, but you sell yourself cheap, in fairness.
But the point stands. Someone asked me to do a debate, and I'm like, I want to get paid for it. So they paid me, and then I did the debate.
Yes, that's true. That did happen. But what you're saying is true. I'm slagging you by saying you're selling yourself cheap. But what I'm saying is true. What you said is true. If they want you, they'll pay it. The ballers aren't short of cash. If they really wanted me to debate Wolfie that time, they would have got the money together and paid me.
Exactly. So Nathan, if they invited you to a university to break down how Earth is measured flat, you would charge them, right? Because you're supposed to get paid for what you do.
You don't tend to go to university to do a debate, and if it is specifically to do a debate, then yeah, perhaps I would. But if it's in a formal setting to your advantage, then obviously sometimes financial reward isn't what you're seeking. It depends entirely on the circumstances, doesn't it? So it depends on the circumstances. But potentially, yeah. If you're there,
No,
so
I
you can
think the
be.
labor is worthy of its pay. If this is what you do for a living, you need to get paid.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's a set of circumstances where they're trying to position the debate so that you can be shut down and ridiculed by a load of students on a stage, why wouldn't you want to be paid for that? Just because it's a university doesn't mean they're not going to employ the exact same tactics that we see here. Why would they? Or why wouldn't they?
Even worse, maybe, just based on that being a university, which is where this heliocentric nonsense is being taught to the masses. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
the thing
measurements
about it
aren't
is that.
debatable.
Just sorry, 1 second, John. The thing about it is, though, Nathan, is this: they'd at least have to pay you for have your transport and food and everything else. That's the least the university would have to pay for, and technically they should pay you your fee as well. But even if that does happen to you at a university, it won't be like it happening on Jaron's channel, where a very small group of people will see it, or McToon's channel, where a very small
No.
group
The
of
debate I
people
got
see it.
paid. No.
At least it will be
Hold on.
seen.
The debate I got paid to do wasn't on a massive channel that had some worldwide acclaim or anything. It was a modest channel. But the same applies to. I agree with you in terms of expenses. So again, it always depends on the circumstances. But when it came to Vice, yeah, they covered my expenses. They paid for my travel. They paid for anything out of pocket, but they didn't pay me for the interview. Yeah, I made nothing out of it. I got my money back for the train fare and things like that. Yeah, but that's fine. I see that as acceptable. I'm not going to do something down in London that's going to cost me 80 quid just to get there. No, if you're willing to pay the 80 quid to get me there and you'll refund my train ticket because I'm poor, then I'll come down to London and you can do your interview Ali Pally. But they didn't actually give me a dime for doing the interview itself. I didn't make any money out of it. I just had my expenses covered. I didn't lose any money to do it.
Yeah, but my
hold on a sec.
Go on, John. I'll go after you.
Yeah, measurement's not up for debate. All you're going to end up doing is pointing out fallacious logic. That's not a debate.
Yes, but if you're doing that in a situation where there's a university involved, or you're doing an interview for something like Voice, right? At least then, whatever controversy is built up, at least there will be some focus on that will maybe even possibly go somewhat viral. But that won't happen if you spend 2 hours of your time unpaid debating someone from this arena or whoever in this arena in a situation where it could be on someone's channel or Discord or whatever, where the person can just hand wave away at you and spend 2 hours of your life wasting your time for 2 hours, then you should be getting paid. So if I'm going to go to a university, the least they're going to do is pay my fees. That's the least they're going to do.
Brian, do you know how much money Oxford University has? Or even where I am, Auburn University, they got a ton of money.
Billions.
Pay me.
Yeah, pay me. Because listen, I tell you, if they were bringing in Jordan Peterson, they're paying him.
That's right.
And I can guarantee you, I have more profound stuff to say than Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, what was that argument again? The one where the 6 foot one. What was that? I didn't quite get that.
Oh, the one where perspective was proven to exist and our curve was proven to be disqualified from existing.
Yeah, that one. What was that again?
What was that one?
That was a person with their eye line at the waterline, which is 0 degrees, on a globe of radius 3,959 miles. That means the eye line will be at the tangent point. We'll have a boat sailing away from that person that is 6 foot high off the water will disappear at 3 miles due to going over Earth curve. Now, over a horizontal plane, a person with their eye line at the water, right, which is 0 degrees, a boat at 6 foot high will disappear for that person disappear from view for that person at 3 miles away also, because the boat will reach an angular size of 0.02 degrees. So that means on a globe Earth and on a flat plane, a globe Earth without perspective and a flat plane with perspective, a 6 foot boat will disappear for an observer with the eye line at the waterline at 3 miles away. So that means it's either Earth curve or perspective is the cause of this, or it's both. So if it's both, then the boat, the bottom 3 feet of that boat will disappear at about 1.8 miles away. And then the top 3 foot of that boat will have an angular size of 0.02 degrees, which means you won't be able to see it. So if our curve and perspective both exist, then at 1.8 miles away, that 6 foot high boat will disappear for an observer at 1.8, with their eye line at the water at 1.8 miles away. But we know that doesn't happen. We know it happens at 3 miles away. So that means that our curve and perspective cannot coexist together. And the reason for the 6 foot high boat disappearing can only be either our curve or perspective, or curve over a globe, or perspective over a horizontal plane. We know perspective exists. We know angular size change with distance exists. We don't know if our curve exists, disqualifying our curve completely, proving that perspective is the reason that boat will disappear for that observer.
Yeah, that's the one.
Away.
That's the one. Can you go through that one? Can you explain that one to us? That's the one, I think.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
You want it again?
Yeah, if you can go through that one, that would be great.
You want me to go through that again?
That one. No. It's all good.
No,
Wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're saying that's what they'll do to you.
Did you get a chance to listen to Witsit and I discussing stars, by the way, Kiwi?
I didn't listen to. Where is that?
What? I gave you a command yesterday.
2065, I think it is.
2065.
Or 2064. One or the other. Monday show.
Is that on the regular show?
Again this morning.
Is that on the regular show or is that the after show?
Mostly on the main live show. You'll get the majority of the meat of what is useful to you on the live show.
Okay.
Yeah, he comes right in as soon as Nathan breaks down the stars not adhering to our geometry. Comes right in. So once he says that, it's on from there.
And he makes the argument that the stars have an actual height. The same thing the ballers always straw man flat earthers with. He argued for that.
Very far away.
Far away.
Very far away.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. They don't have an actual position.
The appeal to the future, fallacy, right off the top.
To know if the stars could even have a height, you'd have to know what they are. You don't even know what they are to know if they could have a height, if you understand what I mean.
I don't know if you'd have to know what they are.
You just have to know what they're in. And we all know what they're in, don't we?
The ether.
Yeah, you got it. You've got to be in something. You can't have no thing, let's be honest.
Where do you hear the amount of white knights that come in too, Kiwi? You're going to love that.
Well, according to Dicelo, there's a difference between nothing and no thing.
That's right. That was Dicelo. You didn't like how I greeted Dicelo yesterday, Nathan? You thought that was a little abrasive?
Very.
Just out of curiosity, can we prove they're actually tangible?
That's the point I'm making.
Which was incorrect.
By tangible, you mean capable of being touched?
Yeah, so that's a silly question.
Like a rainbow. Like a rainbow.
Brian's territory.
Oh, that's terrible.
What?
Brian's territory.
There's a possibility of the window.
That's because I said he was a cheapskate.
Brian is just taking care of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. He doesn't have the whole rainbow. Come on, guys.
That had many layers on it. It's possible.
Was he calling me a gay leprechaun?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's only got one layer. Think of it more like a potato.
A gay potato.
I wasn't even thinking of
I'm
that
not gay,
as a
I'm not a potato.
Potatoes are the gold at the end of the rainbow, let's be honest. I, for one,
So
love
at 0
potatoes.
degrees, at 0 degrees, where the rainbow touches the ground, we'll find a bunch of potatoes.
Gold potatoes, not russet. Gold. Yukon gold.
Have you
To
ever
be
seen
sure.
Say again, Brian?
To be sure, is that what you said, Chocolate?
What do you say?
To be sure.
You sure? I'm not getting it.
It's a joke about the Irish. Why do the Irish wear 2 condoms? To be sure, to be sure.
Yeah, I'm not getting it.
It never really did it for me either, but with the way Chocolate said it now, that was funny.
Accent didn't kick in that time.
So wait a second. Are you saying that with angular size change with distance and the Raleigh criterion, is that what you're saying? That not 2 degrees, things start to disappear? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they haven't actually disappeared. They just have gotten to an angular size that the average human eye can't decipher them.
All right. So I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. Are you saying that not 2 degrees is when that object becomes unresolvable?
Yes.
That's interesting.
For all optics, not just for all optics. When it reaches that size for all optics, that would be the resolution limit.
And your eye has to be on the island, on the deck.
Yeah, because the original claim is that if your eye is at waterline and a boat sails away from you 3 miles, a 6-foot high boat, that it will disappear over Earth core.
That's
the
for
original mathematical.
No. That's for a 6-foot observer.
No. A 6-foot object won't disappear 3 miles away for a 6-foot observer.
Why wouldn't you all just say water level and eye level? What's wrong with y'all?
Because we keeping it funky.
They use it too. You don't have to be embarrassed by it. They use the same words.
So their claim is, the Baltards claim that they probably don't even know they have a claim, that on the deck at 0 degrees, your eye's right on the deck, a 6-foot tall boat, it doesn't have to be a boat, a 6-foot tall object will disappear behind Earth curve, correct?
It'd be bounce
Yeah,
castle.
it does not. Yeah, just something 6 foot high will, if it moves away from you 3 miles, if it goes 3 miles away from you, it will be blocked by Earth curve.
I see. Then there's a problem then, because then we have, with the Raleigh criterion and angular size change with distance, it happens the same way.
Exactly
like if
the
we were
same.
on a flat plane, correct?
Yes, exactly the same.
That's quite interesting.
If only there was a word like hijacked. Yeah.
No, but if they were both acting at the same time, they're additive. So if we had both Earth curve, and we know we got perspective, anybody that can fog a mirror knows that shit gets smaller with distance. So those two effects would be additive. So at 1.8 miles, if it was Earth curve and perspective, then that 6-foot object would disappear. But that doesn't happen in reality, correct?
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah, that's great. Can you
Happens at
go
3
through
miles.
that example with us?
Yeah. So somebody with their eye line at the water line, which is 0 degrees, on a globe of radius 3,959 miles will have their eye at what would be the tangent point. And a 6-foot object that sails away from them for 3 miles away will disappear over Earth curve, will be blocked by Earth curve. So that 6 foot was blocked by Earth curve, right? 72 inches. If we take the same example, put it on a horizontal plane, then a person with their eye line at the waterline and a 6-foot object sails away from them 3 miles. And that 6-foot object will apparently disappear from view because its angular size will reach 0.02 degrees, which is the average resolution limit of the human eye. So that means that 6-foot object will either can disappear over Earth curve on a globe or over a horizontal plane under the exact same conditions, with the only difference being obviously one is curved and one is horizontal. Now, if we had both Earth curve and perspective, then what would happen is that at 1.8 miles away, the bottom 3 foot of that object would be blocked by Earth curve, and the top 3 foot of the object would have an angular size of 0.02 degrees, which would mean that the 6-foot object would disappear at 1.8 miles away if Earth curve and perspective both coexisted simultaneously. But we know that doesn't happen. We know that that 6-foot object won't disappear for that observer with their eye line at 0 degrees until it's 3 miles away. So that means it can only be either Earth curve or perspective, right? We know angular size change with distance is a thing. Nobody denies that. We don't know the Earth curve as a thing. So that means Earth curve is disqualified from being the cause. And the cause is angular size change over a horizontal plane.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to Flat Earth's 24/7 Discord server for having us on this after show. And of course, a massive thank you to my G+ panel for also making this live show possible. Thank you to you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!